We're filming today in San Diego, and it's a great honor for me to have one of the great saxophone players of our day, James Moody. I am thrilled to be talking to you, as you're a person that I listened to on the way up.
Oh, thank you.
Playing
Thank
myself.
You,
and
it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. You've had quite a career as a leader, as a arranger and composer, and playing with Dizzy. And would you do it all over again?
If I had it to do all over again, I would.
Yeah.
But a couple of things I'd do differently. I'd go to a music school first.
Interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Because something that a person that's studying gets quicker, it takes me longer to get to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you, when you study and you do it systematically like they teach you in school, I'm assuming, this is my assumption, that you learn it quicker. Like anything, if it took me 4 years, like someone else could get it in 1 year. You see, that's what I'm assuming. You know?
Learning the theory and the chord structure and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I assume also with arranging,
Yeah.
perhaps
All that.
it could
Yeah.
help with that.
I would have, yeah.
You know, jazz has become quite an institution in schools now, so there is a lot of places you can go for that.
Well, I'll tell you, Monk, now, maybe up where you're from, but mainly because of Chuck Mangione and the people up there like that, and the Brother Gap, and, you know, and Nick, you know, the guys. What was the tenor player from up there? He's a good buddy of mine.
Joe Romano, Sal Nistico.
Well, Joe Romano, Sal Nistico,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, they were all my buddies,
Yeah.
you know. And I think Joe Romano is in Las Vegas now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where he's living. But anyway, like it seems like the people up there seem to go for jazz a little more than in other cities. But as far as people, as far as them teaching jazz in the schools, I think that, or music for that matter, I think that, like it's a sad situation, and I think that it should be in all schools, all colleges.
Mm-hmm.
I think jazz should be taught in grammar school.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is because when you start learning music, it takes your mind off of things that are really not important, but you think they are important when you're young. And then when you get older, then you say, why did I feel that way?
Uh-huh.
Such as like, oh, no, you're worried about what Mary or Bob or Jane, you're worried about what they're thinking. And when you get older, you find out it didn't matter a hill of beans what they thought about you, because they didn't give a damn anyway, because they felt the same way you did, maybe, you know?
And they were worried about what you were thinking
Right.
about them.
And that's why, that's one of the reasons why they say it's a shame that youth is wasted on the young, you know? Because like, you think, oh, this is important. Oh, the greatest day of my life, graduation day. Oh, graduation. Oh, the prom. I mean, so what?
I know what you
I
mean.
mean? Yeah.
I'm telling you, when I talk to my own children who are teenagers now, and some of the things that are so important to them, and you want to say, look, you know, 10 years from now, you're going to chuckle at this, but you can't really say that to them.
No, because like you're the nut. But then, about 10 years from now, they're going to say, wow, you've gotten smarter. Yeah.
Right. I want to talk for a moment about one of your more recent albums, and
Mm-hmm.
Moody Plays Mancini, which is, your soprano sound came off just gorgeous on that record.
Oh, thank you.
And in
Thanks.
fact, I just wanted to see if I got this up here. Was this fairly spontaneous?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it's a gorgeous sound. How did this album come about?
Well, the company wanted a concept, and that's the thing nowadays, concepts,
Right.
you know. So we came up with the concept. Frank Sinatra before this,
Mm-hmm.
and then after this, Mancini, you know. So that was the concept. So that's how that came about.
Does that bother you at all, that you need to do
Yes, it
a
does.
concert?
I'll have to be truthful. Yes, it
Yeah.
does, because you see, what I think is that, and it's been like this for a long time, the artists or the musicians should make the records, and the record companies should sell them.
Mhm.
But it's the other way around. They want to make the records, and then they want you to sell them.
Wow.
You know, I mean, that's the impression I get.
That the people that are hold the purse strings are not musicians.
No, they
So
never
that
are.
They never were, or
And
they
here's my
never...
saying, and I know my wife, this is, blessed are those that run round in circles, for they shall be called big wheels. and my, the website, would you call that, honey? In my website, they ask you, do you have anything to say? And that's what I say. Because if you notice, like, the people that don't really know are always telling people, the people that, like, you know, what you
Yeah.
should do. And then especially other people, like, you know, they say, oh, well, yeah, like, he's not a musician, but he's got good ears, you know. So.
Oh. That's a good catchphrase,
Oh,
isn't
man,
it?
it's one, yeah.
Yeah.
See? Yeah, like, so the musician's been playing deaf,
Uh-huh.
you know, anyway. Yeah.
Have you had more luck with one label than the other throughout your career? Has there been times when you said, I have to get off this particular label because...
Well, I've had better luck. I have to say, yeah, with some labels better than others. But you know what one of my what I would love to do? I would love to be able to go into the studio with the musicians that I want, and the engineer should be there, and I just do what I wanted to do, the way I wanted to do it, and that would be it. Rather than somebody stopping me, you know, to hold it, take one more take. I mean, you know, I'd like to just be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's distressing to hear with a...
And years ago, I did do it.
Oh, years ago you did?
Oh, yeah, years ago with chess and checker. I'd go in and like, whatever I wanted to do, that was it. I had the stuff, and I'd stomp it off and play it, and that would be it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the budgets that they had for those records at those times was probably small.
Yeah.
So they said, look, get in there,
Mhm.
make this record in a day or two, and that's what we can handle.
No, not a day or two. I mean, we used to make albums in 3 hours. Now you make an album in 9 years.
And plus you said something that probably was the key to that, and that was you had the people you wanted, and that you knew you could go in and play.
Well,
and get
see,
a
the
product.
thing is, like, I just like to have some people that the people that I talk to and I know, like, I want, and say, hey, I want you to do this, I want you to do this, and this is it. Okay, this is it. Take one, this is the take, that's it. Bam. See, because the first take, like, that's it. You know, you can play something to, you know, just to get the sound if you have to. But when you're doing something, man, bam, that's it. You know, I think you could do that better. I think you could do that better.
Okay. Well, let me take you back a little bit. You're from Georgia originally.
I was born in Savannah.
Born in Georgia.
Born,
Yeah.
but not
But
raised there.
okay.
Raised in Reading, Pennsylvania,
Uh-huh.
New Jersey.
And how did you come to the saxophone? Was it your first choice of instruments?
I just loved the way it looked, loved the way it sounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I told my wife, Linda, I tell honey, I says, in Newark, New Jersey, where I lived, around the corner from where I lived was, I lived on West Street, and if you went down a block and turned the corner, that was South Orange Avenue, Springfield Avenue, there was a music store there called Dawn and Kirshner, and they used to have these windows, and they were just lined up with saxophones, you know, just lined up. And boy, I used to go and just press my nose in it and look at it. Oh man, you know. And finally, one day, my uncle bought me he got me a saxophone, but it didn't look like those. It was silver and it was alto, you know,
Right.
second, you know. But later on, I finally got a nice horn, man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But the first horn I got, when I got it, boy, I said, oh man, I dug it, and I put it in the bed next to me, man, and just looked at it and said,
Oh, that's nice.
that was out,
That's
man.
nice. I
Yeah.
wish we had a photo of that.
Yeah, 16 years old.
And that was
man.
an alto?
Alto, yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. And you know what? I don't even. It must have been a con because it had one of those screw things on it.
Uh-huh.
Because I even forgot what like in those days. I mean, that didn't mean anything. Con or it was a
Right.
saxophone.
But it was probably an old, the silver color one?
Yeah.
Were people still playing the, were they selling the C melodies back then too?
I don't know. They probably were because I saw some, but the C melody, that, you know, C melody, no, that wasn't, you know. And then again, I really didn't know the alto tenor, you know, like I just wanted a saxophone.
Yeah.
You see? And then when I went to the theater and saw, you know, Lester Young, and no, I didn't see Lester Young, but I mean, I heard him on the record with Count Basie. Well, first of all, Jimmy Dorsey was my first inspiration, Jimmy Dorsey. So he played alto, so okay. So that could have been one of the reasons why I liked that. Then Charlie Barnett,
Yeah.
and George Yalls, and then I heard, but when I heard George Yalls, man, I said, no, I like that better than the others. You know, and then I heard Coleman Hawkins and Prez. Now, when I heard Hawk, he didn't knock me out like Lester Young did. But when I got older, I realized that Hawk was playing the changes better than Lester Young.
Uh-huh.
But Lester Young had that beat and that sound, you know, bo boo doo doo dee dee doo dee, you know. Oh, I like that, boy. And then when I heard Charlie Parker and Dizzy, I said, that settles that. That's it, you know. Yeah, yeah. So that's how that happened. And then I was drafted in the Air Force. And they said, does anyone here play an instrument? You know, no. They said, do you have an instrument? I said, yeah, I've got one. They said, send for it. They didn't ask if you could play it. They said, if you had. I said, yeah. So I sent for the instrument, and they formed a band. And in those days, like it was segregated, and I was stationed in Greensboro, North Carolina. So they had a segregated, they wanted to have, the bass was like, say this is the bass like this.
Uh-huh.
This 1/4 here was Negro, and the other 3/4 was Caucasian, all right? So they wanted a Negro band. So that's what they did, they formed one. And they had the official Air Force band come over and teach the Negro band. They taught us. And then about a year or so, man, our band was really nice. It sounded good. So they would come over and listen to our band, Douglas. And I made some good friends with some of the guys because, like, even now when I play, one of the clarinet players, he always comes by if he's in town to the gig when I play,
Yeah.
you know. Say, hey, Moody, you remember so-and-so? Yeah, I remember, man. Yeah, I was 18 years old. Yeah.
Did your band ever go to play for the white servicemen?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, you played for the officers. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you played for them, you know, like that. We were down there. I was stationed in Greensboro, and I'm not sure if the Tuskegee Airmen came by there or not, but I remember there was trouble in town one night, and it had to do with officers. Because I was telling them about the German prisoners of war, jumping off the trucks and going in the restaurants, eating in Greensboro, and I couldn't go and eat in the restaurants because I was a Negro, you see. So there was some kind of problem in town, and I was wondering if that could have had something to do with the Tuskegee Airmen who were there, because this was an overseas replacement. Before, when I went there, it was BTC number 10, a basic training center number 10. Then it changed over to ORD, replacement depot, so overseas replacement depot. And I'm wondering if the Tuskegee Airmen were getting ready to go overseas, and that's when they had some of the problems in town, you know, because it was out, you know, the racism rampant. Yeah.
The process of learning to improvise for you,
Mm-hmm.
you must have been getting into it even before you went into the service. Is that right?
Reading?
Improvising, really, or playing. When you heard Lester Young and you
Uh-huh.
heard Charlie Barnett, and
Mm-hmm.
and as you said, that there wasn't schools
Mm-hmm.
to do at that time.
Mhm.
How did you go about learning how to play jazz?
Listening to records.
Mhm.
And hear something and then try to play it like I thought maybe it sounded.
Mhm.
And that's how I did. And I played by ear for the longest time. And Tom McIntosh is the one that showed me changes. You see, so that's why I'll always be indebted to him, man. I was on tour with Brooke Benton,
Yeah.
the Brooke Benton Review with Ruth Brown, the Falcons, and the James Moody Orchestra. Okay, this was on the bus. And we get finished playing together. I had that septet. Like I had made the Moody's Mood for Love thing.
Yep.
So I had the septet, and I came back from Europe, and we were on tour. And after we get finished playing a gig, like while we were on the road, we'd be down with a blanket over our head in the back of the bus, and he'd be showing me the chords. You know, see, this is what a chord is, and this and that and other. Because I remember asking guys, what's a chord? And they'd look at me and laugh.
Wow.
They thought I was joking, I guess.
So up until that point, even when you recorded Moody's Mood for Love,
Right.
it was all coming
All by
from
ear.
here.
Moody's Mood for Love, the same thing. What I did was I was playing tenor. So Lars Gullen, who was a very fantastic baritonist, jazz player in Sweden, good musicians in Sweden, boy, wonderful. He had this beat-up looking silver alto sitting by him at the record date. I asked him, you mind if I looked at it? He said, no. In those days, it was different. You played other people's horns. You know, you would never do that now.
Right.
So anyway, they said, you have one more cut to do. What would you like to do? I said, how about I'm in the mood for love? Okay. And it's okay. So Gus Castellius, this is the truth. The arranger, he went into the John and jotted down the harmonies, and then came back out and put them up on the thing. We did it in one take. Mood for love. Now, here's why it sounded like it sounded. When they hit the chord, boom, I said, boom, boom, bee, boom, bee, bee, boom, bee, bee, boom, bee, bee, boom, 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 bee, boom, 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 beep, 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 boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. You know, I'm trying to find the notes because it's alto now, not tenor. You know, and people said, oh, you must have been inspired. I said, yeah, I'm inspired trying to find the notes. That's what I was inspired. You know. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because
It's
you were
a true
playing.
story, right,
Yeah.
honey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it became a big seller.
Uh-huh.
So then, one day, I'm in New York, because I wasn't going to come back. I was living in France then, in Paris. I wasn't going to come back because I never will forget, I used to write, and I used to write things to my mother, and I used to say things, you know, like I shouldn't have said it, but that's the way I felt, you know, because in those days, like if you say an au fait cat, that meant a Caucasian person, au fait. So I'd put USA, land of the au fait. You know, my mother would say, oh, they'll put you in jail for that, you know, because I had it, like with the racism that went on. I mean, it was, remember I told you about the Brooke Benton Review?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them about the donut, honey. We were on the tour, and we, I forget just where we were, but I had a $100 bill. So I went into the donut shop to get some donuts. They said they didn't have any change. So I went across the street to an automobile company where they sell automobiles, asked for change. They didn't have it there, so I said, oh, the heck with it. I got back on the bus. So when I got on the bus, in a minute, Brooke Benton called me and says, hey, Moody. He says, what? He said, this state trooper wants to see you. So I thought it was joking. State trooper. I looked down, sure enough, there's a state trooper down there. So I get off. The state trooper looks at me. He says, what's your name? I said, it's James Moody. He says, what do you do? I said, well, see, I said, my name's on the bus there. I said, I'm in the band for Mr. Benton here, you know. And Brooks says, maybe I can, he said, get the hell out of here, get over there. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, how much money do you have? I says, I don't know, maybe $400 or $500. So he said, let me see it. So I reached in one pocket and pulled out my traveler's checks. In another pocket I had cash, but I wasn't going to get, you know, something told me don't do it. So I gave him the traveler's checks. They about $700-800 in traveler's checks because I hadn't paid the band and stuff. So he looks at the traveler's check and he looks at me and says, too much money. So what am I supposed to say behind it? Too much money? I mean, I didn't say it. He looks again, too much money. I said, well, I says, I'm the leader here, and I said, and I have to pay the musicians. I haven't paid them all. He said, it's too much money, you know. So he put it down, and he was saying, and looked at me again, too much. He must have said this about 15 or 20 times. Then he called for another car. And another car came with a lieutenant, and they talked. And then a captain came, they talked. After this crap went on about half hour, 45 minutes, they gave me he came over again, did it again. Too much money, too much money. And then, I mean, it just hurt him. He gave me the traveler's checks back, and he left. Now, you know what happened? When I went into the automobile store, evidently they said, there's a Negro here with a $100 bill. He probably stole it.
Uh-huh.
So the cops came, and that's how that came about.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's distressing to hear, and in fact, Ruth Brown told us a story about how she got pulled over, and all the musicians were in the car, and they had to get out and play on the sidewalk or on the side of the road.
Yeah.
To prove that because they had a Cadillac or something. And,
Yeah. Well, I was on the bus when we were doing the tour with Ella Fitzgerald, and we were late for the gig, about 2 hours late. When we pulled up to the place, like, I mean, everybody had gone on like that, and the guy wanted Ella Fitzgerald. She had her head all wrapped up in her thing, you know, and she wasn't feeling well tied, and the owner of the place wanted her to sing for his wife. I mean, we finally got out of it, but I mean, he wanted her to sing, you know.
Did things get better in the '60s with the civil rights movement and all that? Did it get better?
They were going good. They were going all right. They seemed to be going good because people seemed to have. They seemed to be sensitive to these things, and the morale of people like seemed to be picked up a little bit, and the Caucasian people seemed to have a feeling that, wow, boy, that's the drag. And then Reagan became president, you know, and he messed everything up again, set it back 50 years. And that thing hurt me when they named that airport after him.
Mm-hmm.
After he fired all those air controllers and all, they're going to name the airport after him. For what? What did he do? Trickle down. Trickle down. How about trickling up?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, the money will go to the big businesses, then it'll trickle down, then you'll have it there. Never mind, money should have been, you know, trickle up.
Yeah.
You know, let the little people get it and give it to the big businesses.
Wow.
But I mean, I didn't want him to get shot. You know, I don't want any harm to come to him that way, but I could do without him, man. I mean, he was a sad-ass president. That's the only way to explain it.
Yeah.
You know, and so was Bush. You know, so.
I take it you're not a Republican.
No, I'm not a Republican. And you know what was nice? I was on a plane one time going somewhere, and the guy gave me the space for my saxophone. I put it up top. And then somebody said something to me, and I said, oh, no, so-and-so, Reagan, so-and-so. I said, those Republicans. And the guy says, what? He said, give me my spot back. But he was joking, but it was nice, you know.
Oh, boy. Tell me about, we had just gotten up to where you heard Dizzy and Charlie Parker. You said, that's it.
Yeah.
So you got into bop. Did you find that music to be more of a challenge to play?
Let me put it to you this way. If you don't know anything about something and you're just doing it, and then people start explaining to you, like, if this or that is hard, I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
I was in Las Vegas, and I was playing this clarinet part, and I'm playing it. And the lead alto player looks over at me, and looks at the part. He says, oh, man, he says, I'm glad that's not on my part. And the next show, I missed it.
Oh,
See? Because, you know,
He-
that's what happens if you let that happen to you.
pointed out to you that
Yeah.
was really hard.
Yeah, see that. But for me, I always tell students there's no such thing as difficulty. There's nothing ever hard. What you have to do is familiarize yourself with it. That's what I tell our boys. I said familiarization is the key to everything. When you familiarize yourself with it, you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go into a thing, like I say, well, say meow.
Meow.
Now put a B on that.
Be meow.
No.
Meow. Be.
Put a B
Oh.
where the M is.
Beow.
Right. Get a nice sound, right?
Yeah.
Meow, good. Anyway, so I told my son Danny and them that, and then then they say, oh, okay, Danny and Regan, and then finally I say, do you speak Chinese?
I can say ni hao.
Ni hao, yeah, Wong hao. Good, yeah, good. That's about it for us, right, honey? Okay. How do you say watch in Chinese?
That I don't know.
See, that's my thing, see. So I say, if you're familiar with it, you got it.
Uh-huh.
You said it just before.
Ah, beow.
Meow, yeah, that's
All
what.
right.
See what I
Meow.
mean? Now you're familiar with
All
it.
right. I probably won't forget that either.
No, see, because I set you up. I do it
Well,
all the time.
shisha.
No,
I think
But
that's
this-
thank you, isn't it?
but you see what I'm saying, though? Like, if a kid sees something and you show it to him and he can do it slowly and he familiar, oh, I see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple. They call it the light bulb going on, you know,
Yeah.
but if you can, and I always say this way, like, I've been kind of fortunate because if I explain something to you this way and you don't get it, I can explain it 4 or 5 or 6 different other ways. You know, like I think I can, because I've been pretty fortunate I've been able to do that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hate for someone to come to me for something and I'm trying to show them and they don't get anything out of it, you know. So, anyway, but like you said about the bebop thing, people say, well, how did you feel playing bebop when you joined Dizzy's band? When I joined Dizzy's band in 46, it was, I think, Monk was the piano player, Fillius Monk, Kenny Clark was the drummer, Ray Brown, bass, Milt Jackson, Viber, Howard Johnson, alto, lead alto, the Saul was the baritone player, and then later Cecil Payne came in, Ernie Henry, and then later John Brown, Dave Burns, Miles in the man, Satnava, you know. I mean, but I was young. I didn't, hey, man, I was there. So, what? I thought I was going to sneeze. I think I will. Hold it one moment.
Okay.
All this is cool. That's all right. No, it goes along with it.
That's right. This
No?
is live.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Henny. So I didn't realize it, you know. And I tell people if I would have known, I probably would have fainted. And it's better that I didn't realize,
Right.
you know. So it was really interesting to know things. And I came right in the club and played the music, you know. And I mean, everything was fine.
Where did most of those arrangements come from for that band?
Gil Fuller,
Mm.
Walter Fuller. Walter Fuller did the arrangements, and then after a while, I think Gerald Wilson did a couple of things. I never will forget because Gerald Wilson did something, and this chord kept coming up. I said, Diz, hey man, that's wrong, man. That note's wrong, man. Diz says, Moody, be quiet, shut up, Jesus, be quiet, you know. Come say it was a flat 5, you know. you know, anyway. But I look back now and people ask me, says, well, how did it feel being with Dizzy? What did you learn from him? And how, you know, how was it working for him? And I tell them, I says, man, like every day, like something pops up and I say, that's what he meant. See what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and like, it's like I could be on a plane in Europe somewhere and go, oh, okay, a piece of music.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. My honey, she's heard that a lot of times because that's why I said, oh, okay. And you know what? When Dizzy passed, I would call home and my wife wouldn't answer the phone, okay? And then I says, honey, I says, man, I said, I called you as 569-4875. You know, she says, honey, that's Dizzy's number. I would be calling his number, thinking I was calling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Was that band, was it a struggle to keep it solvent?
well, I would assume that it probably was, because one of the 2040s, 7th Avenue, that was that address, I think that was it. And Dizzy's and Lorraine's apartment was like, you know, it was okay, it was funny. But the guy that worked for Dizzy, the one that he hired, Carpenter, his apartment, draperies, plush rugs, they said, wait a minute, this is the other way around. Anyway, like later on they found out.
Oh,
And how stupid can you be? Because he lived on the first floor. And they lived up, I mean, it's so, you know what I mean? So what's the matter? We're not partners anymore?
yeah.
You know, one for me, you know, no, like one for you, two for me.
Right.
One for you, three for me. One for you, four for me. Okay.
Well, when you were in Europe, you considered staying, you said.
You consider what?
You considered staying in Europe,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but you didn't.
No.
You eventually came back, and why did you decide?
Well, I came back because the record was a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of convinced me, said, go over there, make the money, and then come back. I said,
Uh-huh.
okay, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Then when I got over here, I said, it's ridiculous for me to run away from the place where I'm born, I'm raised, I have every right to be here, more so probably than some other people. So why should I, you know, so that
Yeah.
I stayed.
Did you avoid certain parts of the country when you had your own?
No, I
Group
played
later.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I played Jackson, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, I mean, you know, yeah. But you know what? I like Southerners. And the reason I like the Southerner is because the Southerner will tell you, I don't want to be bothered with your greasy behind, get the hell out of here. Or either, I love you.
Uh-huh.
And whichever one he says, you can rest assured it's true. But the New Yorker, you know, oh, what a wonderful person. Oh, nice, and stab you in the back.
Ugh.
See what I mean?
So you never know what
So-
to expect.
Yeah. But when you get my age, I'll be 73 next month, you can kind of smell it and feel it, and you can put on a thing and smile, and they think they got you, but you know what's going on.
You're,
And I do. I can smell it a mile away, but
Yeah.
yeah. You know.
wow.
Mhm.
And it's still around then.
Of course it's
Yeah.
around, sure. And you know what? But you know what's bad about it? The thing is for a person to think that they're better than someone else, to think that they're different from someone else, when in essence, like, if you look at look at anyone, look at the similarities. I mean, all the similarities. The only so-called difference is the pigmentation of the hue. And the reason for that is because of the different climates.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody thinks that I don't know what I'm talking about, like, I dare them to read a book called The 12th Planet.
All right.
You see what I mean?
I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, it's by Zachariah Sitchin, Sitchin. It has to do with people coming from other planets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's the gentleman that wrote it. He like when he makes a statement, he shows you the writings in the Sumerian texts and things that substantiate what he says. You see, the Earth revolves 365 days of the year. The planet that these people come from, 3,600 years to revolve. That's 1 year for them. So imagine that lifespan. So they were considered gods.
Oh,
And they, the Nephilims, were the one that created us,
I see.
and the Anunnakis. Now, the hip thing about the book is that if the Nephilims created us, who created the Nephilim?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know there's something great, but because when I was a kid, I used to say, boy, wouldn't it be strange, just like we stepping on these ants, if a big foot would come down and step on us. you know?
There was a Twilight Zone episode about that.
Yeah, but I didn't see that. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't see that. But you know, when you think about things, and then check this out. In the configuration of where all the planets are around the sun, okay? All the planets are there in the world. NASA is there. Now, 6,000 years ago, Galileo and Leonardo da Vinci, they didn't know anything about Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. They didn't know. But the Sumerians did 6,000 years ago. And in their thing, I mean, on the little stone thing that you're carving, you see the same configuration as NASA, but there's one more planet there. That's the 12th planet. That's the one that comes every 3,600 years. And when it comes, what happens? And so they're waiting to see what's going to happen the next time. Now, the flood, when it happened, it wasn't something that happened because the gods were angry. I mean, man was destroyed because the gods were angry at man because man was a drag, but they knew that the flood was coming because of the configuration of certain planets. Certain things happen, the ice melts, and all that. But I'm telling you, this book, The 12th Planet, he wrote, it's called The Earth Chronicles, and I think 5 books, and the 12th Planet is one of the books. The hip thing about it, I got the hardback cover because you can just read one chapter, like when man first came to Earth, or different things, how different things happen. And when you read it, you will not think the same anymore. Now, people think, well, we're talking about music. What has this got to do with music? Everything. Because the Anunnaki is the one that introduced music to the humans, so-called, the Homo sapiens. So, I mean, there's a whole lot happening.
Wow, how did you come across this
Well,
book?
there's a friend of mine who was the provost at the University of Pittsburgh, and he's a very good friend of Dr. Nathan Davis, who's the head of the jazz studies. This is Dr. Donald Henderson. And he and his wife, I mean, he's retired now. Oh, he told me some stories about being a provost. I mean, racism, boy.
Oh.
You know, like he was supposed to send a picture with his resume because he was accepted at 5 different colleges.
Oh.
He didn't send a picture, and he was accepted as every one. And when he came to Pittsburgh, because that's the one he chose, they said if you would have sent the picture, you wouldn't have gotten this job. Then they set him up and had a chick come by to say, oh, he didn't go for it.
Oh.
He said, no. He said, my thing is to my wife, and the next is to the university. I don't do, that's not my style. Anyway, but he's retired now, so he goes and he does space things. When they have the space out in Mexico and his wife, they go to these things, flying saucers, and he introduced me to these books. Now, this man is nobody's fool. And, I'm not dumb. I mean, you can't pull the wool over my eyes but so far. But, I mean, for me to read these things, I mean, believe me, Monk, there's something to it.
Yeah.
There's something to it. And all this is applicable, because I tell students, when you're playing music, no matter what it is you do, I don't care what it is, everything is applicable to everything else. It all goes together. It does. Because if I practice and play music, I play. When I get finished, my relaxation is to read, to grow spiritually. I want to grow. Now, last night, my wife and I, we looked at the TV, and Swaggart was on TV. They had the Swaggart.
Preacher,
and he's sitting there, and the people got their arms raised and said, oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus, oh, yes, oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, we love you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, Lord, Lord Jesus. Oh, Jesus, you're wonderful. For 45 minutes, that's all he said. Now, suppose I take my saxophone and say, oh, my saxophone, oh, my saxophone. Oh, it's wonderful, my wonderful saxophone. And it gets very boring. And not only that, but I haven't said anything, And that's what's wrong. And it's been said, the synagogue, the Baptist church, the Methodist, the Episcopalian, all these churches have failed the people. You know why? Because they don't say anything. They tell you what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say anything. Have you ever heard the Bible say something? No, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Jesus, how can Jesus be the Son of God and then all of a sudden he's going to be God? You see? My wife and I, we're Baha'is. We believe in all of the prophets. If the Americans are so stupid as to think that Jesus is the only prophet, I mean, it's ridiculous. Because if that were the case, then that means that God loved the Chinese people better than we did because their prophet, he made over 1.5 billion people of them. I mean, 1.5 billion of them, right? And we
Yeah.
know, I mean, that's not so. But music goes with all of that. All of that. And the reason is because when he didn't have anything else to say about, oh, I love you, Jesus, then that's, oh, Jesus, he is the one, he told us, you know what I mean? So people are, oh, man.
Dizzy also practiced Baha'i.
Dizzy was a Baha'i, yeah,
Yes.
but he didn't tell me anything about it.
Mhm.
You know, after he
Came
passed,
to it.
my wife and I, we became Baha'is because we would go to the chapel where we went, and for that very same reason, the minister would be talking about, and Jesus said, do good, and Jesus said, do this, and he said, be good and don't do this, don't do, but he wouldn't really say what should be said. You know, like you shouldn't, like, hate a person, and you shouldn't teach your children to hate because you think that this is that, and what, you know. No, they didn't do that.
Right.
Oh, and another thing, in all the schools, see, now they come up with that race thing about jazz. I was in France, and the French were saying, oh, yes, well, you know that the Negro plays jazz better than the Caucasian man, you know, and that isn't true. It's not true. Because all people are the same. And if you've got the ability, and you hear the music, and you like it, and you study it, you can play it. You know, you can't play a record and tell me who's playing. You can't play a record and tell me what color anyone is. Just like you can't take some blood and tell me what color someone is. You know, so I mean, there's so many discrepancies in the world, and the way people think. People think that if I look a certain way, I'm better than you automatically. Stupid, you know.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Sounds like you ought to write a book to me.
Well, a book is being written about me by Nathan Davis's wife, Dr. Ursula Davis. She's writing a book about my life, supposedly. But you know what I like? I would really like for people, like sometimes when you put it like in so-called black and white, people still don't want to see what, you know. But I guess the actions speak louder than words, you know. But jazz is a wonderful music as far as I'm concerned, and I hate all these different, you know, smooth jazz, sweet jazz, bittersweet jazz, fast jazz, slow jazz. I mean,
All the labels that they put.
yeah, they're putting the jazz is jazz, bang, music. You hear it, you know, either you like it or you don't. Now, when I don't like something, if I tell you I don't like that, okay, you ask me anything you want about it. And if I can't answer those questions, I don't have a license to dislike it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But if I dislike something, and you say, well, why don't you like it? And my answer is because. That's pretty stupid, isn't it?
That's one thing that some programs I've worked in public schools that we try to do is to get the kids to be able to make judgments about things so that they simply don't say, you know, I don't like that at all, and to get them to be able to discern why. And it's a struggle sometimes, but exactly what you're saying.
Well, check this out, Monk. If I play, do you know something, like, take something that you really hate, you can't stand, musically, and you have to do something, and you put it on, and it plays over and over again. You know what your mind will do? Your mind, especially you being a musician, your mind will find something in that thing to like, to grow with, okay? And what's happening, like my saying that I say, blessed are those that run round in circles, for they shall be called big wheels. These people at the radio stations, they don't know their butt from holes in the ground. And those are the people that are choosing the music to play for people. If I give you something that I think you want, I haven't given you anything. But if I give you something that I know is good and I feel that it can help you grow spiritually or something, and I give you that, I've given you something. When I play for a person, I don't play for you. I play for me. And the reason I play for me is because I want to play better today than I want to play better tomorrow than I did today. By that I'm saying I want to grow musically and spiritually. So when I'm playing for you, I'm giving you honesty. But if I see you and I figure you want to hear me moan, whoa, 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 wah, and scream, I thought, yeah, that'll get you. I'm being dishonest.
Yeah.
See? And for me, that isn't music. See? And music consists of three things: melody, harmony, and rhythm. One thing alone doesn't make music, okay? So all that other stuff that they play on the radio for people because they think it make big bucks, yeah, but you know what? It makes big bucks, but you watch. It's also tearing down the moral fiber of youthfulness. I mean, in other words, the young kids are being like smothered with, excuse me, the only way I can do it, with bullshit. And you know that saying, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with bullshit. You've heard that saying. Well, that's what's happening today. Not only musically, but every which way.
Across the board in entertainment.
In medicine,
Yeah.
in every which way. Because first of all, look at Oprah. Anytime a person can't say, well, oh yeah, wow, well, I'll be damned. Like, beef is that bad? Well, you know what? I never think I'll eat another hamburger again. Just because she has a show and somebody, because look, 20 million people calling a television set an automobile doesn't make it one. But if something is good for you and you like it, I don't care what somebody says about it, I'm going to still do it. See? So like if beef is all that good for you, people are going to eat it, but because Oprah said she didn't want to eat a hamburger, they're suing her for $10 million. You know, in Texas, you see.
Yeah.
But, and if you notice, anything that's really good, excuse me, if you notice the good stuff, it's not there. Musically or any other way. You ever notice that? I mean, the guys that can really play, I always say the greatest are yet to be heard. You know, because they're guys that play their buns off, man. And you don't hear them that much. Look at Jerry Bergonzi.
Look at who, sir?
Jerry Bergonzi.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
man. Isn't he bad? I mean,
Yeah.
people, you hear him, man, boy, I mean, he's playing some stuff. You know what I mean? Look at, excuse me. Well, first of all, oh, thank you very much. Look at Diz. You know, like people want to forget about him like he never existed, you know. But
Do you think there's too much emphasis on something has to be new?
that's just the point. There isn't anything new. Everything is the same, only, excuse me, only it's, I know what it is, there's no air in here.
Yeah.
Only it's turned another way. You see, because when you get up, no matter what it is, it's different. If I play a C scale today, it's going to be different from tomorrow, even though to me it sounds as if it's the same, but it's different. And the reason it's different is because, first of all, look at it. 1 trillion billionth of an inch. I mean, it's damn near nothing, okay? But if you're playing music, and now my point I'm trying to make here is, what was the point I had there? What was I saying?
We were talking about new, if things are new,
Right,
C
good,
scale.
okay, right, that's it. If I'm playing a scale today, if I play a scale now, da, 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 I'll tell you what, hello.
Hello.
Okay, good. We say that every day almost, don't we? And you know what? It's never the same. Ever. You know, because when you say hello, that's that. Now, hello, it's not the same. And you know the reason it isn't the same? Because it's just a billionth of a second older, and it's different. And I don't care what it is, everything is like that. You see, so when people say, oh, I want something new, and people say there's nothing new under the sun, I'm inclined to agree with that. There's nothing new. I mean, it's all here. We just don't know where it is. And just like when Diz said with the music, like, man, I don't care what the music is. It's there. All you got to do is get it. You know, it's there. You see? And once you play it, it's gone. But 1,000 or maybe 2,000, 3,000 years from now, they'll be able to turn on a little machine and pick up the sound from when you were a baby, when you were first born, when you came from your mother's womb. And the sound will be able to, like a fingerprint, they'll be able to get you. You mark my words, that's going to happen. You see?
That's some heavy stuff.
Yeah, but that's what's wrong. People think it's heavy, but that's some light stuff compared to the Nephilim and the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
You know, and just imagine the people that created the Nephilim, how heavy that must be, you see? So man needs to get up off his behind and quit hating someone and start thinking about what the truth really is and leave Clinton alone.
Yeah.
You know.
Does this, your philosophies about this thing, does it find its way into your music?
Of course. Because first of all, tell me, like, you can't do anything, no matter what it is, anything you do, whatever it is you do, like now, you're sitting here talking to me, you have children at home, right? Okay, your wife. You can't tell me that while we were talking here something fleeting didn't go through your mind about, you see what I mean?
That's true.
And that happens with everybody. So that's why I say, no matter what it is, everything is applicable to everything else. Everything is entwined, you know. And it would be nice if it could all be love, you know. But when you put hate in there, that you see.
Yeah.
And that's all that has to do with music. And you can tell some people say, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da. Okay, that might sound like they're angry, but no, it's not necessarily. Some person can say, bo-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and really be pissed off. But you know what? You can still get it. After a while, you can pick up on it. You know. What they say, speak softly and carry a big stick.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, the thing that would really help the world would be for people love. But the thing is, people don't love themselves. And I tell people I'm crazy about me, bald head and all. I love me mainly because of what my mother was. You know, and the way she brought me up. And when I look at that, and then I look at other people, there's no one on this earth, anywhere, better than me. I don't get nobody. But by the same token, I'm not better than anyone else. You see? That's the way I feel. But I see people and they come up and they just certain things, why, yeah, yeah. I say, oh, yeah, yeah, good. You know, but inside I know, you know, that's cool. And they can kind of pick up that I really don't give a crap. You know what I mean? And you ain't pulling the wool over these eyes, you know. I mean, maybe you might, but you're not going to, you know what I mean? You know.
That's a very healthy attitude.
Right, and music soothes the savage beast, and music is truthful. And I'm telling you, I've told a lot of lies to music, and music has looked at me and said, no, you don't. And there's proof of it on my record, a lot of them, boy.
Yeah?
You know, yeah, man, I try to do something there, and they come in and say, blip, blip, I say, oh, man. And I'm one of those kind of guys, if I make a mistake, leave it on the record.
Yeah.
That's me, leave it there. You know.
Do you listen to your own music
No.
much?
No.
No?
No, because I always figure the next one I can do better.
Yeah?
Yeah. When I hear something I've done, I say, damn, wow, I did that. I didn't realize that. I'm like, damn, I didn't remember I could play that, you know. Yeah.
You and Dizzy were quite an exuberant couple on stage, I'd have to say. Did that kind of interplay come natural to you two?
Well, to be honest, yeah. You know, because if you say something funny, I mean, to make me laugh, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I like this joke. I told it, you know, it's a cute joke, and it's about the two burglars robbing this home, and they snuck in this home, and they heard a voice, and the voice said, "Jesus sees you're lying behind. You know, Jesus sees you." And they become frightened. They look and they say, "Oh, it's only a parrot." And the parrot says, "Yeah, but Jesus is a Doberman." You know, that's cute, I think. Huh, honey? Could I get a Kleenex? Yeah. Yeah. So, but Diz, man, I'd be playing. We'd be on the bandstand, and Diz would say, come up and whisper in my ear, "Moody, the fly's opening." And man, and then Fitz finished, man, and he'd look at me and with that look, you know.
You do his
Thank you
look
very,
pretty
thank
well,
you.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, Bill Crow, you've probably read Bill Crow's book,
Some of it,
Jazz
yeah.
Anecdotes, you know.
Uh-huh.
He had a story about how you guys used to, after you played the head together, something about you'd kind of bump into each other, like,
Oh, yeah.
who's going to do the solo first, and, you know,
All
these
right,
mock arguments.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
well, it helps to put the music across with a certain amount of exuberance and...
Well, I guess it wasn't so much putting the music across. I guess it's making the people relax.
Mm.
Because the music is the same. See what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a guy saying, "I'm going to go to dinner," and you want to eat, but you're sleepy. So you go get some sleep, then you go to dinner. I mean, the dinner's the same, but you feel better about it, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess that's the same way Dizzy felt, because I always call him Dizzy like a fox.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
relax people. Yeah.
What brought you to San Diego?
My wife,
Uh-huh.
Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I came to Lario, the club where I was playing. And then next time I came to Linda McGowan. Yeah.
To stay.
And now she's Linda Moody.
All right.
Yeah.
And how long have you been married?
9 years, April the 3rd.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we were. And when I left here after playing, the 2 weeks I was here, I was in love when I left. I didn't want her to forget me, so I had them send her a dozen roses every Monday. See? And so I went on tour with Dizzy to Africa. That's when we went to, was it a month, honey, month and a half? That's all? Anyway,
Uh-huh.
my phone bill was $1,200 a week.
I'm
I
going to
was
say...
calling her, boy. Yeah, boy. So, and they made Dizzy a Bashir, a chief in Africa. You know, it was funny because we're sitting and the tribe was out there and the chief was sitting up on the thing with the thing. And so Dizzy gets this hat, you know, the Bashir and everything and all like that. And then I look and he slipped the chief a bottle of Gordon gin because the chief liked that. And the chief put his bottle and took a little swig. Boy, I mean, you should have seen a smile on his face. And you know, we had to fly on 2 chartered planes. They were from Gulf Oil, because the planes over there,
Ooh.
man, you know. So, but that was a hell of an experience.
That's an
boy.
adventure, huh?
Oh man.
Where
yeah.
else have you played around the world? You've probably been to Japan
Oh yeah.
a number of times.
Yeah, everywhere except India.
Mm-hmm.
India, we want to go to India, and mainland China. Yeah, mainland China, want to go there. But people are the same all over the world. No matter where you go, they are the same, and people want the same thing. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you know, they want to be able to make a living. They want to live decently. They want to take care of their family. You know, and we went to the island of Goree. You know, where G-O-R-E with the thing over the E, the hyphen over the E. That's where the slaves shipped off from Goree. Boy, that was an experience to see that.
Uh-huh.
You know, to see that, yeah. But being with Diz was wonderful because you go places, we'd be in Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, I mean, at the time, you know, or Hungary. You know, Hungary, you know, Buda and Pest are 2 separate places.
Buddha and pest are two separate.
Did you know that, like
No.
Budapest?
No, I didn't know that.
In Hungary, in Budapest, Buddha is on this side of the bridge, and on the other side is Pest. There's two different places called Budapest.
I'll be darned.
But going to all those places, that's what was funny. When this passed, and I went back to these places, it was really sad because every place that I had ever gone, the first time I went with Dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Japan, Australia, you know, China. First time I went was with Diz. And then to go, and he's not there now, that was, you know, that was kind of heart-wrenching a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you share his love of Latin music?
Well, I have to be honest with you. Like, pardon me, I like chick-a-ting, 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 chick-a-ting. Like, I don't know, that chick-a-ting, chick-a-ting, that doo-goo would get in my ear, you know. But I learned to like it more and more as I did it, you know. So I like, because I've been on tour with Tito Puente, you know, and I mean, it's there, boy.
Yeah.
You know, underneath, man, it really knocks me out, yeah.
Did it take you a while to get used to the, as you were saying, the goom, like, they don't usually put the bass notes where we've learned to expect them, at least to my ears.
Mhm.
And to me, I think that would be the part that I would have the most trouble getting, internalizing.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't bother me because I listen to the overall thing, you know, boom, 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 you know, however the way it is. As they say, go with the flow,
Uh-huh.
you know, so that, yeah, I can kind of do that, you know, go with the flow until I get my own flow.
Yeah.
Then I go.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
Well, you've got a growing list of recognitions here for the International Jazz Hall of Fame and Newark Hall of Fame and the NEA Jazz Masters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see that your career is being recognized.
Yeah, it's nice. I told my wife that it was really nice when she came to me and she had tears in her eyes and she showed me this thing and it said that I was nominated, you know. So, and it's nice to be nominated by your peers. I appreciate that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And but I feel that I'm lucky, very lucky, because I don't say this in a derogatory way or a bad way, but like you take sperm, like, man, I don't know how many millions of sperm cells there are there, and like for even to be born, we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so for me to get that, I feel the same way. I was lucky.
Yeah.
There's so many guys. Yeah. Yeah.
What's in the future, the near future for you as far as...
I want to make my wife very, very, very happy. Yep. And make my honey happy. Yeah. Because it took me 64 years to be found.
Uh-huh.
You know, and like it just seems like it just gets better.
Yeah.
And she understands what I try to do. Like, you know, if I want to practice or something, she says, honey, don't forget practice. Go, you know, and do that. And she didn't ask me to get a day job, you know, and nothing like that. You know, so like I just feel fortunate.
That's cool.
Yeah.
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 You're romantic.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
romance
Oh,
comes
and
out
she
in
still-
the music
And
too.
she still gets the roses too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the daughter every Monday.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, that's
Good.
great.
Yeah.
It's been real insightful talking to you.
Well, thank you, Mark.
And
thank you.
Gonna have to read through this and maybe get that book. And
Yeah.
check it out.
It's really something to check out. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, the 12th planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been saying this. I said it at the club, at the Iridium when I was there.
Yeah.
Told the people, get that book, man. Just read it,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Do you like going to New York to play?
Oh, yeah, all the
Yeah.
time. My wife and I were crazy about New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. Go to New York and get energized.
That's
Come back here, lose it, and then go back.
it does have an atmosphere.
Oh,
man,
yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
You gotta charge up your batteries to keep up with it.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
you know. And, you know, they're good musicians here, you know, but they don't support it, man. Like, you have, you know, your Holly Hoffman, wonderful flautist here, wonderful. And Charles McPherson, he lives here. Daniel Jackson, he's there. Was a piano player, honey. And the bass player that used to work at Alario's. Bob Magnuson,
Uh-huh.
and Holly's piano player.
Mike Wolford.
Mike Wolford. A lot of good musicians here, you know. But the people don't seem to support it.
Mm.
But you put that rock crap in there, and then, man, and it's funny because people look at other people and call them savages, and then have they ever seen themselves when you put that boom, doom, 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 doom? Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
You know, ridiculous. What did Buddy Rich say? Rock music is played by morons for imbeciles, something like that.
It sounds like Buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that good rock is played by good musicians. You know, because all music can be good if it's played right.
Mm-hmm.
But just for someone to know two chords in root position and play, you know, that kind of,
Yeah.
you know. And that's what bugged me, you know, because like, here I am 73 years old, and man, I'm trying to find out this and learn that. And you hear something, boom, 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 beam, 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 boom. And people are just winging, oh, isn't that wonderful? Yes, oh, man. You know, like it's an insult, really.
Yeah. I have a pet peeve about standing ovations for people just seem to, they're not discerning enough in some cases that they don't recognize real talent, perhaps, but that's another issue.
Well, you know what? And then all this screaming. Why would someone want, look at Take Six. You've heard Take Six,
Mm-hmm.
right? When do you hear them? How often do you hear them?
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
And you take a melody like B B D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D da, you know. I mean, now why you want to scream over that?
Mm.
You know, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
No,
man, the melody's beautiful.
Right.
You know, and
That's,
then when you scream light. But you see, they scream in the wrong place, man. Anyway.
well, it's been a great pleasure.
Well, thank you, Monk.
James Moody, saxophonist and philosopher, and vocalist too.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but musicians, you know, people always say, why do musicians think they can sing? Well, I'm not a balladeer, but at least I can say, ba be dee 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 da, you know, dee 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 dee, you know what I mean? I can, you know, I can hum my intervals and things, you know. So that's why I think I can do 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 da da. You know what I mean?
Right.
Here's one. Dee 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 dee. You know that one, right?
Uh-huh.
Put fourth on there. Dee 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 da da ba be dee 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 ba 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 dee 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 ba 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 dee 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 da da da. You know what I mean?
Man, I got to take this tape home now and have a saxophone lesson.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, follow
Yeah.
those intervals.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for your time. I hope
Well,
you keep
thank
us
you, man.
informed when you come out
Thanks.
east.
Can I get a hug?
Maybe I can give
Can
you
I get a hug?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay.
I love you and don't